I hope everybody's having a good snow day today. I thought what I'd do is make a quick video about 1.3 and 1.4 so that way you guys could take a look at the video, try to do some of the homework on your own. And if you do have questions, we can talk about it on class on Wednesday, hopefully if we meet then. The good thing about adding and subtracting real numbers is if we can figure out how to add real numbers, subtraction is actually pretty easy as well. So when we're talking about adding real numbers, what's going to happen is they're going to come into two different categories. So type 1 is when both numbers being added have the same sign. So for example, 4 plus 7, because both of them have positive signs, or negative 5 plus negative 6, in which case they both have negative signs being added together. So type 2, of course, will be if the signs are different. So again, for example, 3 plus negative 5 or negative 6 plus 8. Oops, sorry. So let's look at an example of the type 1 type where both signs are the same. So obviously the easiest one of this kind would be if both of them are positive, and that's probably the one that we're most familiar with, of course. So if we had something like 6 plus 5, then you just straight add them, or if you want to think about it from like a number line perspective, how it would work on a number line. So if we were starting at the number 6, since we want to add a positive 5, then that means we would of course jump 5 spaces to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'd end up here, which would give us, of course, 11. Well, the good thing is, even if the two numbers are negative, kind of the same technique works. So, for example, if we're looking at negative 5 plus negative 3, then the idea is, since they're the same sign, we more or less just ignore the signs, add them like we would normally, but then attach the negative sign as the answer. Or to see it from a number line perspective, if we were starting at the number negative 5, then since we're adding a negative, that means we want to jump 3 to the left along the number line. So starting here, we'd go 1, 2, 3, and we'd be at negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. So again, when you're adding real numbers with the same sign, just add them like normal and attach the appropriate sign. So if both numbers are positive, our answer is positive. If both numbers being added together are negative, our answer is negative. Okay. So let's take a look at type 2 problems. And this is where the signs are different. So for example, if we're looking at 5 plus negative 3. So one number is positive, one number is negative. So what do we do in that case? Well, let's look at the number line real quick just to see what happens. So if we're sitting at the number 5, since we're adding a negative, anytime we're adding a negative, we always move our dot to the left. So in this case, we're going to go start at 5. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the left. Oops. So 4, 3, 2. So notice that we end at 2. So our answer to this problem should just be 2. So notice what we're doing when we have numbers that are the different signs. We actually just subtract the answer, and then using the bigger number, so in this case the 5 is the bigger number, we keep the sign of the bigger number. So since 5 is bigger than 3 in terms of how far away it is from the 0 on the number line, then our answer becomes positive as well. So let's look at a different one then. So let's say we've got -6 plus 3. So again, one's positive and one's negative. So the bigger number is the 6, because again 6 is farther away from 3 than on the number line. So since the 6 is negative, then our answer is going to be a negative. And so just subtracting 6 and 3, we end up with 3, or an overall answer of -3. Or again, to see this on the number line, so if we're starting at -6, and then adding 3, that means we want to go to the right on the number line. So moving to the right, we go 1, 2, 3. And there's -5, -4. And lo and behold, we end right at -3. And this will apply for big numbers as well, double digits, fractions, anything that you want to work with. So the idea is, if you're adding two positive numbers or you're adding two negative numbers, just add them like normal and attach the appropriate sign. If you're adding a positive and a negative, subtract the numbers and attach the sign of the biggest number. All right, well that's it for adding. So to subtract, two real numbers, so for example, if I have something like 5 minus 6, say, the key to subtraction is we actually want to turn this problem into an addition problem and use all of our rules that we just learned about addition. So how do I change to an addition? How to change to an addition? Well, what I want to do is think of this 6 as a positive 6, because that's what it is, 5 minus positive 6. And the idea is, what we're going to do is actually flip-flop these signs. So 5 minus positive 6, I can actually think of as 5 plus -6. So I can actually switch the order of those signs. Now once I've got the addition, I want to recognize whether it's a type 1 or a type 2 problem. So are the signs the same or are the signs different? So in this case the signs are different, so I'm looking at a type 2 problem. So I'm looking at a type 2 addition. So 5 plus -6. Again, subtract the numbers. So 6 minus 5 gives me a 1. And since the 6 is a bigger number and it's negative, I'm going to carry that negative sign over into my answer, and I end up with -1. So again, any subtraction, our goal is we want to turn that thing into an addition. So let me just turn a few problems from subtractions into additions, just so you can see kind of all the different cases. So what if I had something like -4 minus, or -5 minus -7, for example. Again, the -5 stays alone because it's the first number, but the subtraction in the middle is what I want to change to an addition. So if you remember, hopefully at some point in time you've learned that if you take a minus times a minus, that's the same thing as a positive. So this negative, the subtraction, and this -7, and I can actually switch and turn into an addition. So -5 minus -7, I can actually think of as -5 plus 7, which is now going to be a type 2. Alright, what if I had 4 minus -3? So again, same thing, I've got minus negative, so those guys in the middle can become plus plus, so I end up with 4 plus 3, which gives me a type 1 in that case. And similarly, I could have, let's see, what if I had -5 minus 6. So again, if I think of that as negative 5 minus positive 6, I can just flip-flop the signs and rewrite this as negative 5 plus negative 6, again giving me another type 1. So if you can really get the addition down, the subtraction we get for free, again, just by switching every subtraction problem into an addition problem. Now you do want to be careful in this section because surprisingly, it doesn't seem like it's that tricky, but this actually does trip up a lot of students and can cause a lot of problems later on down the road. So we really want to take this section serious. We want to work hard. We want to try hard. Obviously if you have any questions, definitely shoot me an email or send me a message. Send me a message to Blackboard. Again, if you have any questions, we can go over this on class on Wednesday. But I do want you to try to watch the video, try some of the homework problems on your own, and also we'll try to work on workshop 2, so that way we won't get too far behind in the class. All right, well have a good snow day, and I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday hopefully. Good luck. Bye.